colorism convo. But before I start this little video, I want to tell some of you light skinned dudes in the comment section and people in general, make sure y'all detox from social media. Where y'all go, I go 2 days, usually the weekend, where I don't touch my phone unless it's a text message or a phone call. Because I think a lot of people in the comments can come off as very angry. Especially, I can understand why you light skinned dudes are angry, especially as this stuff is starting to come out more and more, and the persecution and things like that that y'all guys go through. It can sometimes anger you, but we have to learn how to take a break from social media. All right, but let's get into this video, and this guy's going to pretty much validate what I've been saying pretty much the whole time about what this media stuff was really about. Well, let's get into it.
I think for boys this doesn't hit us as hard, but I do.
Yes, it does. All right, of course they got the light skinned dudes trying to act tough, but that does hit men hard, and dark skinned men wouldn't understand because they're the face of the race. They've always got more promotion and more privilege in this society. So they, of course, they're going to say it doesn't hit us hard. But dark skinned men are always crying about colorism the most, but it doesn't hit them that hard. They look at guys like Tommy Sotomayor and all these other dudes. They're always crying about colorism. But whatever.
I think that there was a time during our era, like during the '90s, early '90s, like for a while, kind of the same thing. Like it was all about the lighter skinned guy. So if there was a lighter skinned guy,
that's not true. That's a huge lie that they keep on running with, saying that women like lighter guys. Light skinned dudes were never in style in the '80s and the '90s. All right, you had light skinned dudes who had their little run, maybe for 3 years, maybe 5. In the '70s, they probably went like close to a decade. But light skinned dudes have never been the face of the race. They have never been, um, they have never been the face of the race. They never got more promotion than dark skinned men before the '90s or after it. Um, Most of the lead actors back in the days were dark skinned men. You had a couple who made it mainstream. Light skin. The only way that light skinned dudes can really make mainstream if they act fake woke, like Malcolm X and all them other niggas. All right, but light dark skinned men. Most of the R&B groups are mostly dark skinned men. Even the hip hop groups. All type of shit. Football, basketball, and that's purposely done. That's not a coincidence. Now we know light skinned dudes are a minority, but a lot of stuff is not a coincidence. All right. They wouldn't even allow light skinned men like that in Hollywood back in the day, but that's another topic for another day. But let's get into this.
The curly hair, light skinned guy, whoever was lighter, girls were going after more of the lighter skinned guys. So I think.
And when they say this, they talking about light skinned women. I tell you all the time, when these dudes say that light skinned dudes were in style, they're talking about how they're in style with their own group of women. And he's going to explain this as it goes on.
For some of the brown and darker skin.
I remember that whole era.
And then the Wesley Snipes era happened.
Right, exactly.
Then the Wesley Snipes era happened, so dark skin became in, and then they wanted Morris Chestnut. You know what I mean? Like,
Morris Chestnut actually looks good. Wesley Snipes don't.
Yeah, we had that when you right. Came out. Y'all love that nigga.
I never said that. I never said that about no Wesley Snipes.
Wesley. Here's the thing, though. I tell you.
Never said that.
I tell you, those you know, as trivial as it sounds, as a kid, those things did change. Because what happened is, like, it's interesting. All the light skinned guys, those were that's what the vibe was. I'll be sure, and that whole, curly hair vibe that was going on. And then
they had a little time, yeah. They just shared the spotlight with dark skinned men. Just had to share the spotlight with I'll be sure. Light skinned dudes were never in style with darker women like that. All that shit is lies. Alright? But listen to what this dude's about to say.
All of a sudden, you start having Michael Jordan, Wesley Snipes, and all these other dark skinned, Morris Chestnut, Tay Diggs, all these guys start coming to the picture. And then I start finding where a lot of the it was weird. Maybe it's just me, but all of the lighter skinned women were going, everybody was going for the opposite, right? So I noticed a lot of the girls that I had early on, not that I chose, it's just that a lot of the girls were like, they were more like, oh, I really like dark skinned men. So it started to become like a prideful thing. Like, oh, she like dark skinned dudes, and it ended up being the lighter skinned girls going for that. But
yeah, because that was the goal the whole entire time. I tell you all the time, it's really that they don't really like light skinned people with each other, and they don't like this society, not just dark skinned people. This whole entire society, they don't like y'all having your own thing going on, and they understand women. They're just social. They chase out the social status nonstop, and drama and chaos. That's all it's really about. So I actually just watched this cat. He had troll channel, and he was basically talking about how um with light skinned men versus dark skinned men, and how they teamed up with white men and left light skinned dudes in the dust. He was talking about that shit, how they backstabbed y'all and all this other shit. They bold with it. They bold with that, and how they conquered light skinned women, mulatto women from light mulatto men. They talk about that stuff. All right, because that's what it's about. It's about disenfranchising light skinned men. All right. They did that to y'all societies even centuries ago. All right, but the little bit of access y'all had to your own thing going on, they had to destroy that, and the only thing y'all had left was just each other, and they broke that up just by using the women, just over promoting dark skin men, which they've always done that.
Yeah. I mean, throughout like high school and stuff like that. I mean, I liked all different types of girls. I had girlfriends that were dark and light, so it didn't really matter to me personally. But there was a level of pride that started coming to play when you start.
And you can't blame them for that. So light skinned women were clout chasing like they're doing now, and they were status chasing. And he said it's a pride thing that's always been there with dark skinned men. But you can't blame dark skinned men. You got light skinned women and dark skinned women competing for you, and on top of that, these females back in the 90s, they were not just going after dark skinned men. It was very similar how it was right now. And it was even worse back then because there wasn't no social media. So you couldn't really have no voices or anything. On top of that, you had to approach these people in real life. And sometimes they'd come to you, up to you and the person. And these women would go out of their way to humiliate light-skinned dudes. All right, light-skinned women and black women, they were doing the same thing. Don't let them lie to y'all. And I actually seen a brother in the comment section talking about how they even try to X out a lot of light-skinned dudes and try to kill a lot of light-skinned dudes in the 90s. I got to look into that. But it wouldn't shock me, especially during the crack epidemic and things like that, what they were doing to light-skinned people back then. I got to look into that some more. But I tell you all the time, that's what it was all about. Getting access to mulatto women. And disenfranchising you guys through y'all women. And now, same thing with Michael Jordan. He bought Michael Jordan. He was even with a light-skinned girl. All right? Now, he dumped her for white girls and stuff, but, it just shows.
Start seeing these mainstream people that are dark, you know what I'm saying, where somebody's saying, you so black, this and this and that, and then it starts to become, I think for men, and maybe this is just my own perception and my own journey, but I think for men, we started to get a lot of pride with being dark, and I think that thing deaded for us a lot earlier than it did for the women. So I
agree, because the women never received, dark-skinned women never got the promotion that dark-skinned men got. All right? Even with light-skinned women, like, light-skinned men have always been the outcasts in the community. I don't really feel sympathy for dark-skinned women because I believe that a lot of people don't agree with me, but I think that dark-skinned women are actually the cause for a lot of this. Believe it or not, the black community is a matriarchy, and it's ran by dark-skinned women and men. Light-skinned women are in third place. Light-skinned men are in no place. In no place. But I feel like she's the queen bee of the community. She calls the shots. She tells her dark-skinned sons how to act, what type of women to go after, etc. All right. She could try to play innocent, but I don't agree with that. I don't think so. I done seen too much with dark-skinned women telling their dark-skinned sons that they wasn't, or their dark-skinned children, that light was better. It wasn't society, it was them. I might even tag it in this, show it in this video. Or dark-skinned women doing that.
Like dark-skinned men, we was able to have a lot of pride in popular culture.
I think that's because there was more representation.
And you can't blame dark-skinned men. Like, I'd be an arrogant motherfucker too, though. If I had mulatto women and black women, even non-black women, had access to some of them, and these females are attacking the dude I'm insecure about, which is the light-skinned dude, even light skinned women are doing it and stroking my ego, I'll be an arrogant motherfucker too. Alright? I'll be an arrogant and I got this dark skinned female trying to prove herself to me. You can't really get mad at it. They gonna be some arrogant motherfuckers. It's just what it is.
For dark skinned men in pop culture versus
absolutely.
No, while y'all were getting Wesley and Tay, there wasn't many actresses on that same side who were, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. So they still hadn't broke through that barrier.
Yeah.
They still
it was even a song back in the day that it was a couple songs even back in, I think this was before Michael Jordan. This might have been close to the late 70s or 80s. And I believe Billy the Cat Sarge even talked about this, about how light-skinned men were never the face of the race, and they were peons, basically, like kind of like, and basically it was this R&B chick, and she kept talking about, and she was dark-skinned or darker complected, I believe, and she had a song called "I Want the Real Thing," and she had a black dude, and she had a mulatto or light-skinned dude in the video, and she kept telling the light-skinned dude that she wanted the real thing, basically implying that he wasn't the real thing. And that was, I think that was before Michael Jordan and all them. Also, something I forgot. Damn. Was another something else? It'll come back to me.
Yeah. The crazy thing is this. The crazy thing is that all of this stuff is so crazy as an adult because it's so in our mind. It don't even exist. It's all bullshit.
It does. No. A lot of dark skinned dudes try to say that. It definitely exists. All right. They only say this to try to sleep light-skinned men and try to rock you out to sleep. If it didn't exist, then you wouldn't see it in real life. That shit had an effect on the psyche of these women and these men. All right, he even said himself that he gained pride from it. All right, dark-skinned men have always got representation. Light-skinned men have always been the outcast, not only in the black community, but this entire society. All right, they never wanted you to have an identity. They never wanted you to have a place. They always wanted you to feel like an outcast. Do not fall for this stuff.
That's the crazy thing. But you know what I mean?
Well, we manifest a lot of things that are in our minds that don't really mean much in the grand scheme of things, but we make it a thing.
I'll make a part 2 to this. I'm tired of this shit.